Hey everyone, it is Dr. Ashley here for my new video series, Recovery Hacks. Welcome, welcome, welcome to all of you. I'm just so thrilled that you have decided to join our Circle of Hope, where we're able to offer you a lot of valuable education about the deeper work that goes into truly resolving emotional and binge eating. I'm really thrilled that you're here, and I'm just super excited about all that this community is going to create. So this video series, what I'm calling Recovery Hacks, is designed to give you some bite-sized tips and tricks for making full recovery a little bit more manageable so that you can start to implement little pieces in your day-to-day life. A lot of times when I talk with people about full recovery and that it actually is quite possible, they kind of look at me like I have maybe 3 or 4 heads. And, they're thinking, I have been doing this compulsive overeating for years, if not decades. It feels impossible to imagine life where there's full recovery. And I think that's absolutely true. When you've been stuck for so long, it's really hard to really picture yourself on the other side where things are the way you want them to be. And it is absolutely possible to get there. And there are a lot of steps to get there. So my goal with this series is to just break those steps down into real small pieces so that you can start to implement them day to day, feel successful and competent in this full recovery process. And what we know about small steps, of course, is that they do eventually add up to some real big, meaningful change. Okay? So every Saturday, I will be bringing you a new small tip, trick, step for how to bring full recovery into your day-to-day life. So the one that I want to start everything off with, it's not super exciting and super sexy, but it is super important. And that is talking about stages of change. Okay, now some of you may have heard of this theory that we have about stages of change. And basically, all it is it's kind of breaking down how humans implement change in their lives. And what we know is that it doesn't go from, oh, I have a problem, I'm going to change it. There's a lot that happens in the middle. And so I want to make sure that you're aware of that process so that you can have a lot of patience and compassion with yourself as you are moving through the circle of hope and taking in all of the education that we'll be providing you, all of the support that you'll be providing each other, and having some realistic expectations of yourself and the process within yourself, okay? So what we know about change is that first it has to start with an awareness that there's a problem, something that you want to change. And obviously you all have that because you have sought out this resource to support you in making those changes. So once you are aware that there's a problem, you then move into the stage that people call contemplation. And that is the stage of change where you're thinking about making change. You're not actively making change, but you're contemplating doing that because let's face it, you're going to have to make some pretty big changes and give up some things to really recover from emotional and binge eating, right? Give up kind of that ease of turning to food when you're needing that emotional comfort. Give up some of those processes that feel really familiar to you because to embrace full recovery is to embrace a different way of doing things, and that can be kind of hard. So contemplation is that stage of change where you're thinking about it. You're not doing anything yet. And that's a really important stage, okay? And it could take some time. So even as you join Circle of Hope, you may find yourself in contemplation. You're kind of sitting back, you're taking in the information we're sharing, you're watching all of the comments come in, and you're just kind of taking it in, but not really making any active changes yet. That's normal and that's healthy, okay? So after you spend some time in contemplation, then you move into the stage of change that we call preparation. And that's where you decide, okay, I think I'm ready to start making some changes. And so now I'm going to get everything prepared so that I can be successful. And in this case, that could look like maybe securing a therapist or a dietitian to provide some of that one-on-one support. It might be talking to supportive friends or family who can really kind of cheerlead you through this change. It might be be deciding to become active in Circle of Hope. So maybe you've been kind of observing a lot of the activity and quietly taking it in, but not really actively participating. So that might be a way that you start to prepare yourself for change. You start commenting a little bit and engaging a little bit more, which we would love. But you start doing things to set yourself up for that active change, okay? And then as you move out of preparation, you then move into the action stage of change where you're actually implementing the changes that you're wanting. So this could look like decreased binging. It could look like planning some meals in advance so that you're not making last minute decisions. It could look like making the conscious decision to no longer diet. It could look like starting therapy where you're really digging in to those deeper psychological issues that we know create and drive emotional and binge eating. So you're now in that action stage of change. Now, here's the thing about the action stage of change, though. While it's exciting, it's also very stressful and very taxing. Anytime we're trying to do new things, it's hard on our system. So what that means is very rarely do we move into action and then stay in action, okay? What we typically do is we spend some time in action, we make some changes, and then we kind of pause and maybe we go back to the contemplation stage again and we think, okay, I'm going to kind of digest all of the changes I've made and I'm just going to kind of take in some new information and learn some new things and think about it, and then move into preparation and then move into action stages of change. So just know that this is going to be a fluid process. You're going to move in and out of action. You're going to think about change, then you're going to change, then you're going to think about more change and then change. So once you begin the change, don't expect it to always be that way. Okay? Now, like I said, this isn't the most exciting material. I recognize that, but it's really important because it sets you up for realistic expectations of yourself. It sets you up for realistic expectations of this process, which will then help you really stay with it in a very compassionate, supportive, and patient way with yourself, which is incredibly important. The last thing we want is you beating yourself up because you've become a member and you've committed to this change, and then you find yourself not being as active in that change process as maybe you thought you should be, okay? So there's no shoulds here. We really respect your organic process. We want you to respect your organic process and know that pausing the change process and taking time to think about change is a really healthy part of that process, okay? So if any of this is resonating with you, or if you have thoughts or questions about your own kind of stage of change, your experience with change, leave a comment below in the video. I'd love to hear from you, and let's get a really great conversation going where we can all support each other in this very fluid process of change. Okay, so I will be back next Saturday for my second recovery hacks. In the meantime, notice where you're at in your change process and notice without judgment. All right, I look forward to seeing you back here next week. Take care.